because there are some people, sadly, with debilitating health conditions who won't be able to work. But there are many, many people who will have conditions that get better over time, and many others who can still undertake some kind of work. And will want to, because there's nothing more liberating than getting a job and having your own income. So if you start discussing with people who think they're doing people on benefits a favour when they say you don't have to get tested again, and say you can't mean never, right? So how about every 30 years? Now how about 20? How about every 10 years? Is that unreasonable? And in the end, there's a sweet spot. I don't know where it is, but it's going to be, you know, north of 6 months, and in my view, probably shy of 6 years, where you'll find where people can all agree you should definitely be retested. What's for the birds is the idea you'll never test it again.
See, I would argue probably annually, with some exceptions. I mean, obviously, if someone's got a debilitating, lifelong disability, then you're not going to be every single year knocking on their door, are you, obviously? But for something where, I don't know, say it's mental health or joint pain or whatever, then, yeah, absolutely annually.
I think there's an argument to say that people should be regularly examined to make sure that there's been no improvement in their condition, which means that they can go back to work and find a job. I mean, in extremis, there will be some people, I mean, people who've lost all their limbs, for example, who probably will never get tested again, and other people with very serious conditions. But by and large, you would think that people with medical issues, most of them will be able to overcome them at some point. Even with mental health issues. So I don't have a particular problem with saying that people should be routinely tested to make sure that they still qualify for the treatment that they're receiving.
There's another aspect too, which is that some people, even with quite profound medical conditions or disabilities, can work and want to work. And there can be something very liberating about that. Now, that we as a society may need to think more flexibly. We need to think about part-time work. We may need to think about activity that people can undertake largely or wholly from home. But it's still a good thing to draw people into the workforce and to say, oh, well, as soon as you've got this label on you, 4 million people in this country now, you are now sick and you never have to seek a job again. That, to me, smacks of the soft bigotry of low expectations. So once you've been put in that bucket, you never have to try and work again.
At the same time, though, Alex, this is the key point. It has to be a quid pro quo. So on the one hand, yes, you need a rigorous system around welfare payments. You need to make sure that it is, in the old saying, it is a safety net, not a comfort blanket.
Sure.
I've no issue with someone on the left saying that that should be the case. But at the same time, what you can't have is a situation where, frankly, for many people, there's no incentive to go back to work, particularly if you look at the moment in terms of people's real wages falling. And some of the industries that they might be shoved into if they did return to work, they might go into the gig economy where the employment is very precarious, very transient, not particularly rewarding. Some people might not feel any pull to go back to work. So, yes, it's important to make sure that people who can work should work, unless obviously they're carers and they've got responsibilities or they're raising children and so on. But at the same time, you've got to make sure that those good jobs are there. You've got to make sure that pay is better than it is generally across the board. You've got to give people good conditions of service. And if you do that, I think you would find that many people at the moment who are perhaps not incentivised to work might suddenly be incentivised to work.
Yeah, but let me ask you this